was being built, I saw a space that I could not figure out what it would be used for. We went looking for that anomaly in the architecture, and we snuck ourselves in there, and we took out our flashlights. And there it was. It started the conversation immediately.
We need to develop this underutilized space.
There was a real necessity to build a wall there.
It was like 5,000 pounds of cinder blocks.
It's important to emphasize there's this underlying sense of dread that we're going to get caught at any time.
Wow.
That's the trailer for the Netflix documentary entitled Secret Mall Apartment. The documentary chronicles a group of local artists who built an apartment inside a shopping mall in Rhode Island. The Providence Place Mall was built in 1999, but a group of local artists who were opposed to the mall being built found a secret meeting spot inside the bowels of the mall. The spot was slowly converted into an apartment, complete with furniture, a cinder block wall with a door, and a television with a gaming system. This secret apartment was undetected for 4 years. And when you hear this story, I'm sure you're asking similar questions that I asked. How did they do this? How in the world did they load furniture without being detected into a mall? How did they build an entire cinder block wall, which required mixing mortar without any mall security noticing? But another question to ask is, why? Why would anyone want to build a secret apartment inside a mall? As mentioned, they had their artistic reasons to answer this question of why, but I think there's a simple answer to this question. That answer? Dopamine.
Hit 'em with a little bit of dopamine to keep 'em looking every second. They'll be second guessing, trying to meet the expectation of the age of information. The simulation will be so convincing they'll forget that they're alive.
There's a real sense in which we all do what we do because of dopamine. Now, I'm not suggesting that we can blame dopamine for all the bad things that we do. As Christians, we know sin is the cause and reason for the sinful things that we do. However, what role does dopamine play in this? You see, at the end of the day, we must realize that God is the creator of all things. This includes our brains, and it includes chemicals in our brains like dopamine. But now this gives rise to other questions. What exactly is dopamine? But also, why in the world would RYM take time to discuss this? If you tuned into our last season, Digital Christianity, you heard the word dopamine thrown around quite a bit. So we thought it would be important to spend several episodes that look more in depth into this chemical that's pulsing through your brain and mine, as well as the brain of your teenagers. In this season, you'll hear from experts in various fields discussing dopamine. In fact, you'll get to hear from arguably the world's leading expert on dopamine, Stanford professor Anna Lemke. In fact, it was her New York Times best-selling book, Dopamine Nation, that was referenced last season. You'll hear from her as well as trained counselors in this field, but we'll also hone in on 3 specific areas that display a powerful connection to dopamine: sexuality, consumerism, and sports betting. We'll hear from Jay Stringer, author of Unwanted. We'll talk to Dr. Walt Mueller, who spent decades looking at marketing strategies and how they're connected to dopamine. We'll also hear from Daniel Darling, author, pastor, professor, who spent time raising concerns about sports betting in the lives of teens. RYM's mission is to reach and equip youth for Christ, and part of how we seek to accomplish that is creating resources for those youth leaders, parents, volunteers, pastors who seek to love the next generation faithfully. It's our hope and prayer that this season of the podcast will help equip you to show the love of Jesus to the next generation as we seek to understand dopamine from a biblical perspective. The Dopamine Delusion, Parents, Teens, and the Pursuit of Peace will launch next week. Please be sure to tune in and help us spread the word to those who are passionate about discipling the next generation.
Wake up and break yourself out of here. Don't be one of the cold souls who disappear. Stop believing and telling the lie. Why don't you look your life in the eye?